Hello folks, how's it going? So welcome to this One Piece review. This time we're covering manga chapter 1125, and Oda is back at it with a bang because Oda decided to tie up some loose ends involving Egghead Island to officially wrap that up and get us to Elbaf, but also set up some interesting things going into possibly Elbaf or post Elbaf. We don't know. But I do like what Oda did with this chapter. And this is part of One Piece that I appreciate because now Oda has literally flipped the script involving the world government. And now we don't know what the hell's going to happen next. We start off with a cover page. And I actually like this with Yamato bumping into the carpenters under Minatomo. And apparently he's gone missing those. And they're trying to rebuild Odin Castle. So Yamato has a side quest to, I guess, find Minatomo. Or maybe the person that was trying to kidnap the Kunoichi in the previous Yamato cover page that we saw running off. Maybe he has something to do with it, or they have something to do with it. We don't know at this point. Let's start off with the beginning of the chapter where we have the Marines talking about the Zeraphim needing to be charged. I guess they're out of energy. So I guess they need new Gorosei batteries or something to like install into them so they can be charged up. I don't know how that works. Are they out of there? Because that'd be interesting because we still have the other three Zeraphim that when we saw Cross Guild, they still haven't clashed with them. So I don't know if that's when that's going to take place. If that's going to take place, if it, like I said before, it may have already taken place off screen, and that would have been hilarious if Cross Guild no diffed three of the Seraphim off screen. So and then the Marines kind of bump into Rob Lucci and Kaku, and they're asking where Stussie's at. Lucci is responding with, "Oh, she got killed in action." So I guess Kaku told him she was killed just to like spare her, because we know what Kaku did. He like, get the hell out of here. So obviously she's not dead. Kaku's covering up for her ass, so that's pretty cool. We don't know where this is going to take her. I guess the government aren't going to go after her or confirm this, but we'll have to wait and see where that goes, if that goes anywhere. Then we cut to Saturn, obviously a figurehead in this chapter for obvious reasons. So he's saying we have the punk records with York, which is later on in this chapter is kind of false. We have secured the Eternal Mother Flame, which I was questioning about that. It says it's kind of irresponsible, but obviously Vegapunk had somewhat of a countermeasure to York taking the whole Mother Flame, or at least we don't know right now. That would have been okay for Saturn, but they had a huge hiccup, and obviously that being the Vegapunk message that was broadcasted to the entire world, which let off a lot of secrets that was meant to be kept. So this had huge consequences in this chapter, so I like that. But it's not where Saturn took issue, it was somebody else that took issue with that. So we have the 9 Vice Admirals apologising because they failed to get the job done. Even with the Grand Buster call that they had, even with the element of surprise, they still failed to get the job done, capturing Bonnie and capturing Straw Hat Luffy, which to me kind of like confirms that possibly Bonnie and the Straw Hat's bounties are going to shoot up pretty soon. That's just me, but the Vice Admiral's now, it's not clear. I think it could be Vice Admiral Dole that says this, but it's like, allow us to pursue them to Elbaf, which it would make sense if it's her because she recognized the ship belonging to the Giants. She has a connection with Jagged Soul, which I've talked about a number of times. Oda introduced that for a reason, and it may lead to her having a confrontation with Robin on Elbaf. So if this is the case, and spoiler alert, it doesn't really matter what Saturn says going forward. So Oda had the Vice Admirals, specifically Vice Admiral Dole, asked this for a reason. So we'll have to wait and see where this goes. I'm betting my bottom dollar that the government show up in some capacity on Elbaf. That's one of the candidates I personally feel the Vice Admirals will possibly show up. Could Akainu show up? Possibly. Anything is possible at this point. I said this before. And then, like I said, Saturn says, no, forget Elbaf. Which, even though he says that, it doesn't really matter because anything he says in this chapter has no consequence anymore. The failure to which I refer to is obviously the message Vegapunk broadcasted to the entire world. That was not supposed to happen, but he didn't plan for that, nor did he plan for something else that literally cost him everything. So we do find out something interesting. He was talking to a group of scientists. We also see Emmett the Iron Giant in the background, and he's like, "Oh, we got orders to like scrap it," and Saturn's like, "No, I will take full responsibility, but study it thoroughly so we can use it to add it to our military strength and use it as a weapon." So they're adding Emmett as a weapon for the world government. If that's the case, that's a problem. I mean, imagine if they replicate the technology to duplicate multiple Iron Giants like Emmett. Kind of like what we got with the pacifistas involving Kuma. Can you imagine that? That's not good. If the army get their hands on this type of technology, because Saturn literally says this is the future. Does it look like Saturn will be around to see if this is the future or not? Then Vice Admiral Doberman asks about, since Vegapunk, and this is where he screwed up really, so since Vegapunk's message being broadcasted to the entire world was a failure, does that mean there's some truth to his words? And that's where he screwed up, because immediately he gets blasted in the face or in the head with Saturn's attack. Now, I don't know if that's Haki or if that's just a bizarre invisible attack. We don't know. In fact, I'm kind of looking forward to what the anime does with this, because we'll get some type of clarity as to what he's doing here. Vice Admiral Doberman is obviously taken down, though he's not. It looks like he's not killed, because he's like, we need a medic. So if he survives that, so I was about to say we're down to 8 Vice Admirals, but if he's still alive, then no, there's still 9. Whether or not he's dead, we don't know. But he obviously messed up. Then we go to York inside the lab, and we immediately see that sky clouds are engulfing inside the lab, which is like not normal. Then we find out it's Edison's doing, who's still technically alive. Not only that, he even got a makeover, producing artificial sky clouds to engulf the place, and York is forced to shoot, but this is a ploy by Edison to get her away from Punk Records. Then we go to Mary Jo. It starts off like, who cares, because we have the Celestial Dragons crying because they don't have the luxury, they don't have the top tier food anymore because they're running low on supplies thanks to the Revolutionary Army. And because you got one Celestial Dragon acting like a spoiled brat, he ordered beef, but obviously got served fish because that's all they had. So the other Celestial Dragons like freaking out too. This to me is like the biggest part of the entire chapter, because we go inside to the Room of Authority with Saint Garling pulling a Shanks. How ironic! Walking up to the Gorosei, but their response is, "What do you think you're doing here?" And then Garling pretty much responds, "No orders have been bestowed upon me." And that the Gorosei, "Oh wait, what are you talking about? You should tread lightly. You forget yourself." And then Figureland is like, "The Vegapunk known as York shall be under my watch." So York is going to be under the watch or the supervision of Garling. And at this point, he's like, "I was also named the new Defense Science Warrior God." Be crystal clear what's going on here and who is giving the order. So it's like, it looks like at this point Saturn has been replaced. He's been given the boot, and then Garling has taken his place. Which I'll get back to that because there's so many questions right now. He's taken his position as one of the 5 elders, Saint Figureland Garling, the Defense Science Warrior God. And the thing I took away from this is the other 4 elders do not look amused by this. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, is there going to be a rift within the world government? So then we see Saturn literally suffering because he's literally being killed off by Emu as this is going on, because we literally see him like being drained. You even see like black smoke emitting from his body, kind of like when the demonic ritual summoning was happening. We saw the same thing with the black smoke emitting. The same thing here with his body. So he's getting drained, and it looks like he's being mummified throughout this. The Vice Admirals are freaking out. They get sent flying because of this. But then it's crystal clear. Emu is doing this because Emu's like, Saturn Joy Boy was behind that escape, and you allowed that to happen. Trigger his Conqueror's Hockey side and pretty much knocked out all the Vice Admirals, and pretty much like reversed the ritual summoning that Saturn performed to like get rid of the other four Gorosei back to Merajoa. So this makes total sense now as to the fact is we didn't get to see Saturn until this, and then in retrospect it doesn't really matter anymore. You can take my theory about him possibly summoning himself to the ship because he made contact out the window because he's out the picture. The Vice Admirals, like I said, get sent flying, and that's pretty much the end of Saturn. It couldn't happen to a nicer person. Reduced to bones, literally. But that's what happens if you screw up on Emu's watch. And even if you're a 5 Elder, you are not immune to this. So I like this. And now it's crystal clear that Emu was the one responsible for doing something with the Gorosei, and the reason why they have special abilities. This chip, I'll go back to this because it literally cuts to a comical situation involving Edison, but this will lead to a serious discussion, I'm sure, because now this is a difference maker. Back to Egghead Island, as where Edison is getting, like I said earlier, he's getting a makeover. Is looking like he's attaching the spare parts from the other Vegapunks, namely Shaka, Atlas, Pythagoras. York is no longer among them, so obviously she's not going to have spare parts attached to Edison, which is pretty cool. But it's like we got some people we can contact, so they're leaving. So it looks like they're leaving Egghead Island, and he gets into contact with Harades back on Weatheria for some reason. So I don't know if that's where he's going, but that's kind of interesting. This may lead him to like recover some of the wind knots that Harades was showing to Nami. So I don't know. Maybe that has some. Maybe this is going somewhere. Maybe this is leading to the same thing that Joy Boy did, where he stored Haki in his and gave it to Ema to use, which obviously Saturn that's the reason why he was punished, because nobody expected that. But I guess Edison, along with the combined parts of the other Vegapunks, minus York, who's still out there, that could lead to the incoming catastrophe that Vegapunk warned the world about, which that leads us into the final sequence of this chapter, where we go to Kamabaka Queendom, where we see the Revolutionary Armies making like plans about, and they're also freaking out about what Vegapunk said about the world sinking 200 meters into the ocean. And it's also important to know, we saw a celestial dragon mention, oh, we're fine because we're living pretty on top of the red line, which gets brought up here by Sabo. So first off, we see Koala. She's like jotting down all the information about the Void Century and the war that was covered up during that time, and also about the information we got about the ancient weapons technology. I already said this already. Teach is going for at least one or two of those ancient weapons. Maybe they bump into Teach, that's a possibility. Plunging the world at 200 meters deep into the ocean. And this is where it's stated that, this is where it's mentioned, whoever claims the One Piece will not just be the Pirate King, but will determine the fate of the world, pretty much. And we know Vegapunk said to Sanji, he wants the Straw Hats to be the ones that find it. And Luffy heard this in the previous chapter, so this is going to cause an uproar. We know what Kobe said. I don't know how well that's going to go for him, but this is another factor entirely, because Betty's like, we can't let this fall into the wrong hands. So they're going to make a move pretty soon, so that's hype. Sabo points out the obvious about why the Celestial Dragons are sitting on top of the red line. Is because to avoid being sunk into the ocean by Emu's ancient weapon. So that makes a whole more sense now. And also, we also got Ivankov pointing out that's also the reason why Tequila Wolf, Vodka Wolf, Rum Wolf, and Bourbon Wolf Go figure. This is why they spent 700 years forcing slaves to build all those gigantic structures. Obviously, the bridge into Kilo Wolf is one of them. That makes a lot more sense. And the 700-year mark was interesting because that would have taken place 100 years after the Void Century, 800 years ago. So now, as Karasu is pointing out, by the way, I like in the anime where they have like the highlighting, they're giving more focus on Karasu versus Fujitora. That was pretty cool. But it's like all the pieces are literally falling into place. All some of the questions that the world has been asking for years is somewhat being answered now. Oda decides to end the chapter with Dragon. It's like, Vegapunk, those who heed your warning, many will act out of selfish reasoning or self-interest, not for peace. We must hurry and achieve our victory for our cause. People, before the people of the world kill each other to secure habitable land or safe land. Because obviously if the world is sinking, that's going to cause problems and it's going to cause an uproar within the One Piece world to where people, in Dragon's own words, are going to kill each other. Oda's not going to have Dragon state that if it's not going to happen. So there's going to be panic for sure. And you got Morgan's news is trying to pin the Vegapunk death on Luffy, which is not going to go well with the general public. But it's interesting, Oda decides to end this chapter with Dragon because there's a lot of question marks about when is Dragon going to make a move. It looks like sooner rather than later, according to this final panel. We need to achieve victory for our cause, and the fact that Dragon did not show up on Egghead when everybody expected him to speaks volumes, because whatever cause they have is much more important than Dragon's personal friendships. So that's going to be interesting when he does make a move, what he's capable of. It's been a long time in the making, much like Elbaf, and that's how the chapter ends. And it looks like we're not set on Elbaf just yet. And I said this previously in the last review. I think that's where Oda was taking this. Like he made sure that the Straw Hats were approaching Elbaf. We haven't seen them touch down yet. Included the intrigue because we have a character in silhouette awaiting them, so we don't know how that's going to go, who that's going to be. Like, Oda did this to like, okay, we need to get the Straw Hats to Elbaf on the spot, because either what happens during Elbaf is going to happen, like, because in my opinion what got set up in this chapter was a huge tunnel shift within the world government, which I did not expect. I did not expect Sand to be replaced. I expected Emu to do something eventually. Not going to let this message be broadcasted to the entire world lying down. Emu was going to do something at some point, so Emu finally pulled the plug on Saturn, and like I said before, it couldn't happen to a nicer person. This is a game changer, because now there's a huge shift within not only the world government, but also the Gorosei. Saturn's been replaced by St. Figalan Garling, which we didn't know could be the case, but now he is. The other Gorosei, if you notice, did not look pleased by this, and the way they were talking to him as he was approaching was not the way they were talking to Shanks when he approached them. Remember that? Nobody batted an eyelid, nobody said a word about Shanks. Hey, considering it's you, it's okay, you can be here. They didn't give that treatment to Figalan Garling, and we know he was a beast during his heyday, but I don't expect that to be the case anymore. I'm going to be honest, I thought we were going to get the introduction of the Holy Knights. We may get that soon, considering now the commander of the Holy Knights is literally taking the spot of Saturn, and Saturn literally got his FedEx papers by Emu. It led to his termination, literally, because Saturn's no more. This is a change that I didn't expect, but it's a much needed one, because now everything's up in air. Because I guarantee this is going to cause an uproar within the Gorosei, because if you look, like I said, at their expressions, it wasn't amusing. Like, okay, they weren't cool with this, so this could cause a rift within the world government itself because of Emu's paranoia about the Void Century getting leaked out. Whatever Saturn says in this chapter, get it out your mind. And now the Gorosei has changed, and the world government has changed forever, because now we've got the commander of the Holy Knights, who has more authority than a celestial dragon, because the last time we saw him, he was literally about to execute Saint Mosgard for helping Shirahoshi out. York is placed under his supervision, so we don't know where that's going to go. The more I see this, the more I'm like, I don't think it's going to be Shanks versus Teach this year. It could very well lead to Dragon versus Alkainu. That the more I think about it, because I don't know if you noticed, but also early in this chapter when we saw the Celestial Dragons, they were kind of questioning where the hell's Alkainu. He allowed Kuma to escape. He hasn't done jack shit, which is true. He hasn't done anything. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of people replaced. Stussy obviously is out of the Cypher Pole. And Saturn is no longer a member of the Five Elders. Now you can replace him with Saint Figure like Garlic, which is going to cause turmoil within the world government. It could even rough them apart. We don't know. But like I said before, previously, the fact that Oda had the Straw Hats approaching Elbaf, he must have wanted, like, okay, we need to get the Straw Hats close to Elbaf. So whatever happens in between or during Elbaf happens without too many problems. Because obviously he's going to have a huge hand in the production of One Piece Season 2 live action. So that's probably the reason why he did that. So that makes sense. But now, okay, so nothing, all bets are off. What is the deal with Figureland Garling? Eamon must have had a lot of trust to place him as a replacement for San. So does he have a devil for it? Is my question. Like, because the other Gorosei we know are Zoans. We know that we're never going to see it from Saturn again, which is a shame. So a moment for silence for Saturn. Okay, so that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. I appreciate all you guys' support when it comes to One Piece content. Subscribe to for more One Piece, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks, guys. Bye.